we have several action scenes. Let's talk about what goes into bringing to life an action scene like this chase and this chase on the bridge. So let's break them down one by one. First off, I don't know if there's anything in the edit still that shows this process. Excuse me. I have a yeah. So I mean, it all started with storyboards. I just wanted to like pull this up as an example. So a shot like this, and obviously it's like the framing changes between storyboards and the final product, and that's the main thing that changed. So I storyboarded the whole film. That was really useful for dialogue scenes and for action scenes, especially for action scenes where I'm combining a lot of different elements together. I have live action, I have green screen, I have maybe B-roll from the location, and I have CG. And combining that all together is like I really wanted to make sure that I was like not just throwing elements together, but it was like educated of like I know that to make the scene I'm going to need these shots. So when I got those shots, it was very carefully gotten. But I did change the framing between things. So that's something that I was not married to. Storyboards were most helpful for the timing, for the pacing, and for knowing what shots I needed to be able to make those educated decisions about like, all right, like I know in order to make this scene, I'm going to need to get this B-roll or this green screen shot or this live action shot from, or, you know, whatever it is, or the CG. Like this is the kind of shot I'm going to need to make. So that when I'm like, I kind of separate those shoots because some of those are going to be gotten on multiple days, especially with the bridge scene later in the film. Let me pull up that just as an example, just so that you can see all the different shoots that went into it. So it starts here with this shot. So the background is footage that I got on one day. That was my B-roll shoot. And that same day, I got backgrounds for like the background of this shot, the backgrounds of this shot, the background of this shot. Like anytime you see a shot like this in the film, that background, like, so a lot of the backgrounds in the shot are B-roll. So that's one day. But then you can already see on top of that is green screen footage of the Raven. That's filmed on a different day. And then we have CG shots, and it didn't matter when that was filmed. That's the final step of the process. We have this was from the B-roll shoot on the actual bridge. The background was B-roll from the actual bridge. This is CG. This is the actual bridge. This is footage I got of the actual bridge from a different day because it's superimposed on the monitor. Anyway, the background of this shot is from Google Earth. So there's a lot of like playing with different things in order to like bring this whole scene together, right? And of course we have green screen footage of the night terror. I really like this shot, right? Because this is multiple elements. Excuse me, I just want to go ahead and pause on this. So one element is the night terror himself. There's this like HUD overlay. There's these elements on top. There's the car, the CG car that he's sitting in behind him. And then there's the background wherever the car is moving through. So there's a lot of different elements that go into a shot like this. And I think it like blends really well. And I'm really proud of that. And I think it looks cool. But anyway, just like the point is that like doing a scene like this, there's just a lot of different elements that all come together. And then there's different scenes that mesh together, where you have Max monitoring the situation from the night cave afar. And then we cut back to like the actual bridge, both with CG shots and live action shots from the B-roll, right? Like now, like this is mostly CG. And then we cut to this is live action B-roll again. That's actual footage, and just like trying to like combine that all and making sure that when I got the B-roll, I knew exactly what I needed to shoot, knowing that when I shot the green screen stuff, I knew exactly what I needed to shoot. When I made the CG shots, I knew exactly what I needed. That all came from just doing really like careful storyboarding. And so like that was really important for the process. And that's what made it all possible to do scenes like this. So I'm just like, I can't say enough how important it is for my process to storyboard. But like there are differences, like in angles. Like this shot, the night terror is coming in from right to left. He's moving in that direction, and then the drones are coming out that direction as well. But in the storyboards, it's the other way around. Is the night terror is coming in from left to right, and then the drones come out that way. And so that's just a decision I made while I was editing, just to kind of reverse the shot, because to me that just like kind of made more sense with the direction of the scene, with meshing it with some of the like This is like Google Earth background and then CG drones on top of that. So I mean, there's a lot of different elements that are all being combined for shots like this. This is like a live action B-roll with Google Earth overlaid on top for the drone footage. So there's a lot of stuff like that happening. But anyway, it's just like the point is like for storyboards, it's not important how it's framed. That's true with all the dialogue scenes as well. Even though I storyboarded everything, it's like I would change the direction of like things as I was filming, and maybe I would even cut out shots here and there and kind of like simplify the blocking. But like the blocking wasn't necessarily the important thing about storyboards, and I did do a lot of the blocking for storyboards. But what was most important was the timing, the pacing, knowing what is the minimum viable product, basically. Like if I just filmed these elements, what can I get away with showing in order to tell the story, and just like quantifying like, I know I can make this movie if I get these shots, and I can do these shots this way, right? That's what's important about storyboards, and that's it. So anyway, let's talk about this shot. I just want to bring attention to it, because this is another just like looking at all the elements in this shot, because this is like a visual effect shot. Nathan filmed remotely, and so like this is like him against like a white screen, and so first of all I had to pull a Luma key to separate him from his background. And then let's just break it down element by element. So directly behind Nathan is a CG car background. Behind that is, like footage I got of the B-roll of moving through the city, which is played in reverse. And then in the actual background, it's played forward. And it's the same shot. And I hope that you can't tell that, like, I think like because it matches like mostly and it's moving different directions, like it works. And then, like, of course, over that is the CG car with the hood visible, and, like, this is a CG rear view mirror, right? So it's like there's a lot of different elements here at play in order to make this possible. But I think it totally works and sells it, and, like, it's just something that, like, I don't know, like, to me, like, I don't bat an eye at for the storytelling of the film. Like, I can look at this and I can tell you, like, yeah, like, it looks fake. It looks like a composite of all these elements. I can see that there's kind of like light matte lines kind of around Nathan. You can tell that like, some of like the tilt shifting of the camera doesn't quite match for all the elements. But it's also like for the purposes of the storytelling, it's like I think you just kind of buy that like you get this like precise, like, you're able to move down the street in the way that the car needs to while getting, visual of the actor, and they're able to act without driving. And it's combining with like footage of my hand in the car, just because like Nathan was remote, he was performing in Oklahoma, and I'm like, if I wanted an extra shot, then I had to film my own hand, and I'm like, I hope it just matches as well as it can. Nathan of course transformed into the Raven, so it's like a lot of that is like, oh, how on earth do you go about doing a scene like that remotely? And I think it works. And the next time we see him, we see the Raven in full costume. So it's a little bit like just kind of cutting between things and just hoping it all meshes. But I feel good about it. I feel good about the way it turned out. And like this is a shot I'm really proud of, because it's something that to me it's like I feel like you can tell that it's a visual effects shot, but to me like in action it tells the story. And that's how I feel about a lot of these shots. There's a lot of shots that like like maybe are a little bit janky, a little bit like CG video gamey looking, but then there's shots that I'm like I think work. Like I'm really happy with like this shot of the drones coming out. I'm really happy with like this shot of the night terror approaching in the mirror. I really like this frame within a frame. That's what I think helps this shot too. You can see too, just going between these shots, like they have the exact same background, and you're like, well, the angle should probably be a little different between them. And I think just like in the moment, you don't buy it or you don't question it, you buy it. I think it just helps to have real footage.